What's your favorite scary movie?
We're Jaimie and Jay, and this is the Hauntress from Spirit Halloween.
We're gonna give it a total makeover and try to turn it into Ghostface from the Scream movies.
Scream 6 is out, and not only is Ghostface back, of course, but they did something really cool with his mask this time.
It's got this awesome, like, decayed old look to it, kind of like they did with the Jason mask in the later Friday the 13th movies. We're gonna take this brand new Ghostface mask and try to make it look exactly like the one from the movies, while turning the Hauntress into Ghostface himself.
We chose Hauntress for a couple of reasons. The first one is she's got a great jump scare. Ghostface is known for jumping out and appearing out of nowhere, so I think it works really well. In fact, we just learned that Spirit Halloween actually had a Ghostface animatronic at one point that used the same mechanisms, so I guess we're on the right track. The second reason is she's relatively simple, so it should be pretty easy to customize. She's got posable arms and normal proportions, so we'll see how it goes. We're gonna start with the mask first because I think that's gonna be the hardest part. So first, what I'm gonna do is add in all the texture, like the cracks and the broken spots. Since the mask is hard plastic, we can't really carve into it, so instead we need to build up some texture. And to do that, we're gonna use Apoxy Sculpt. Apoxy Sculpt is really great for stuff like this because it's air dry and it takes detail really, really well, and it sticks to everything, so it'll definitely stick to this. I'm just putting on a really thin layer where I want my cracks to be, and then I'm trying to blend out the edges as much as possible with water so they kind of disappear into the mask. I'm gonna let the clay set up for about an hour before carving in the lines because it's gonna help me get a lot cleaner of an edge.
While Jamie's working on the mask, I'm gonna start working on this knife. We found a foam prop knife of the same exact knife that Ghostface uses, which is called a Buck 120, and it looks just like it. It's the right size and everything, but it does look a little bit fake, so we're gonna try to make it look better. Mainly it's the paint job, but there's also some like flashing that kind of goes around the edge from when they molded it, and there's just like some rough areas on this whole thing, so I think we're gonna start by sanding it all down, and then we're gonna give it a new paint job. To sand the foam, I'm starting with some 400 grit sandpaper just to try to get any of the big stuff out of the way. And then I'm gonna go back with a 1000 grit and wet sand it a bit. I don't even know if this is really necessary, but we're gonna create a really nice smooth surface to paint.
What's nice about letting the stuff set up a little bit first is that instead of like pushing away the clay when you're carving in the lines, it just cuts right through. Which is super nice because you can just wipe away the little crumbly pieces instead of trying to pat them back down. I've watched a few other YouTube channels do really awesome mask repaints of the Scream 6 mask, and I'm kind of combining a few of the different techniques I've learned there. So I will link their videos in the description below.
How's it going over here?
Making cracks. It's going fine. It's good.
Is it everything it's cracked up to be?
Our clay's dried for another hour or so, and now it's time to add layer of texture number 2. And to do that, we're gonna use the magical E6000 glue. This is a latex-based glue. It's super sticky and it's really thick. So when we put it on there, I'm gonna use like a chip brush and like stipple it on, and it should give us a really nice texture.
That came out so good.
Thank you, I love it. It's got so much texture on it. I think it's gonna be really cool, especially once we get all the layers of paint on and the dry brushing and all that stuff. It's gonna make it pop.
This knife came out really cool too. It's all sanded and kind of prepped and ready for paint, even though, you know, it kind of made it look like it's like kind of tarnished and old, which made me realize that I want the knife to look a little more like that as well. You know, I want it to look like it's been through some battles or whatever.
It's done a lot of slashing and stabbing in
some
its
killer
time.
battles, yeah. So in our last video, we learned how to airbrush for the first time when we did the clicker from The Last of Us. So are you gonna airbrush that or brush it?
I think I'm just gonna brush it. I don't need like soft gradients on this. I just want like rough texture look. We We got our base coat done. Now I want to add one more layer of texture, and that's going to be a Crackle layer. To use the Crackle stuff, first you need to put down a base coat of the color that you want your actual cracks to be, so in our case black. Then you put down your Crackle medium, and then you put down your white on top, and the white's going to naturally crack and show the black underneath.
Does the Crackle go everywhere or just where the black is?
Just where the black is. I found this reference online of the mask. I'm pretty sure it's from the film and not like a fan-made mask, but it's been great. Shows all the nice cracks and details and texture and like where to put everything. That way I don't have to make it up.
It's time to airbrush this knife. We've got everything we need, our brush, our compressor, our paints. Now this is a glossy silver kind of metallic paint. This is actually model paint and it's like 15 years old. This is really, really old, but it seems okay, so we're gonna try that. So we're gonna thin it to the consistency of skim milk, as we learned. But instead of distilled water, because it's a different kind of paint, we're using mineral spirits. But also our mineral spirits are like cloudy white instead of clear, which it says is okay, but I don't know if that's gonna like mess up the thinning. I don't know, we'll find out. Test it on the paper towel. That's part of the plan, right? Ooh, look. I guess I'm gonna start with the blade because I don't know. I definitely need a lot more practice at this, but I was surprised to find that my paint job came out pretty smooth. Now I just have to wait 10,000 years for this enamel paint to dry.
How'd it go?
Yeah, it went okay. The airbrushing itself went great. I'm not sure about my choice of paint. It's drying right now. What are you doing?
The Crackle medium is dry, so now it's time to put our white paint on and watch the magic happen. Ooh, am I scary? I'm gonna do a wash layer and then just start playing. See this blank space right here? It's because I forgot to put white in that spot, and so there's nothing for the black wash to stick to.
So what now? We just have to start over.
Oh yeah, we'll just throw it away. Make a brand new one. No problem. Well, that's weird. It's not sticking. What is happening here?
Maybe the hood will just cover that and it's okay.
Maybe.
No one will ever know,
Yeah.
except for all of YouTube. We're moving on to the handle of the knife, and this is just gonna be black and it's gonna be shiny, but I'm starting with like a flat black and then we're gonna make it shiny later somehow. Also, my paint this time is not 100 years old, so hopefully it's gonna work a little bit better. It's so smooth. Like, that's gonna look really good. I know this is really simple compared to what Jaimie can do with the airbrush, but I am very proud of that. To fix my imperfect airbrushing, we touched it up with a little Mod Podge and some silver paint on a brush. It's a long way from chrome, but for my first time, I'm pretty happy.
I fixed it. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe some of the Crackle stuff got smeared on there. So I just put a bunch of layers of white on. Seems to be okay. He looks really dark now, so next is we gotta brighten him back up. To do that, we're gonna use just some dry brushing of our white again. I went and I added some black back into like the chipped areas there, and then slowly brought some of the white highlights back, so I think he's got a really good contrast now. Next up, he needs some color. So we're gonna add in some dirt smudges like under the eyes and then the little red splotches he's got and make him look beautiful. Last, final step, for the mask is we're gonna draw in the rest of the cracks. There's a whole bunch of cracks like on the lip and some on the eyes, but I didn't really sculpt them in. So we're gonna try and draw them in with a watercolor pencil. This is another little technique I learned from Cosplay Chris's video. So we're gonna see how it goes.
How is it a watercolor and a pencil? Do you dip it in water?
Yes? I don't know. He dipped his in water.
We should probably read the directions.
We're gonna dip that in water. Okay, if it's wet, it just like glides off the pencil. And if it's not wet, then it's just kind of like a regular colored pencil. So I'm just gonna keep dipping it and drawing.
Ah! That looks so good.
I'm happy with it.
Look at my knife.
It's so shiny and like clean. And
Yeah, I think it looks better than the one we got from the store.
Oh, for sure.
Looks less fake.
Yes.
But it still looks very clean. So we've got to, you know, make it a little more, you know, a little more stabby. Like you did with this. I mean, this is so, so good. We need this to match, you know?
Okay.
How do we do that?
I would say like some black paint to wash it a little bit, maybe some speckles, and then we can put some highlights back on the edges.
Nice. That looks awesome. It's time to do the body and put it all together. We're gonna do a costume, but mainly this hand. How?
He needs to hold a knife.
We could just, you know, just go like that.
You could, yeah. No.
We've had a lot of trouble getting hands to work.
These hands, they don't bend. We thought for one project we could heat bend them, doesn't work. Another project, we like cut off like the bottoms of it and tried to bend it. Also, does not work. So we're gonna try something new for this project.
One nice thing though on this one is that it's gonna be covered by a glove.
Yes.
So we don't actually have to show the fingers. Our idea is we're going to use this armature wire and create like a posable thing and then cover it.
With pool noodles. We'll have noodle fingers.
Noodle fingers?
Noodle fingers.
That sounds like a, if that's not already like a horror character, it should be.
It should be.
Somebody go make that. This guy angered the mafia at some point. The high table demanded his fealty. I demand your noodles.
I feel like maybe you should put them through the fingers and then snap them together.
Okay, that's better. I'm gonna use some 5-minute epoxy and we're gonna put it on here to try to secure these together, but also into this glove. We're gonna glue it to that, and then that way when it goes back on here, it should be pretty secure.
While the epoxy sets up, we're gonna work on the costume a little bit. Now, we got a Scream costume because it came with the mask, so might as well use it. It looks pretty good, except for this hood is so small. So I bought a new hood. We're gonna put a new hood on him.
Yeah, that looks way cooler.
Feels better, it's bigger. I love this top part of it. We don't need the bottom part, so I'm gonna cut that off and attach this to the costume.
Are we gonna sew it back on or just tuck it in?
I think I'm just gonna tack it with super glue right in the center here.
Super glue? Does
Yeah.
that stick to fabric?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Maybe. If it doesn't, we'll hot glue it or something. Honestly, it would take me like 2 seconds to just do a stitch right there. That's probably the better option.
The amount of steps we take to avoid sewing
Oh yeah.
on every project
I'm just
is
gonna,
amazing.
I'm gonna stitch it. That's fine.
See, that wasn't so bad, was it?
No, it didn't take any time at all.
It took longer to go upstairs and get the needle and thread.
Let's see how it looks now. Look. There we go.
Nice.
I like it.
Still kind of waiting on this to dry. I did another round of epoxy to glue this into the inside of the hand. As soon as this is all dry in maybe like a half hour or something like that, we can start to bend it into shape.
One of the other differences that we noticed between this costume and the one they used on screen is the one on screen is like sparkly.
So the fabric they use, if you look closely, has a little bit of like a glitter sparkle to it. And that way when he's in like a dark room, you still see him.
So we found this glitter fabric spray and it's just like this invisible glue with glitter in it. So we're just gonna spray it all over him. Look at all the sparkles.
It's very sparkly actually.
I love it. It makes me laugh that we put Sparkles glitter on a killer.
The sparkly killer.
Poke.
It's like sort of working.
Sort of.
It's not unworking. It's
Unworking?
not working. It hasn't worked yet, but it's not worked either. Okay, and then I guess all we gotta do is slide this over the wire and then kind of bend it?
Yeah.
This is the most ridiculous idea we've had in a while, and it seems to be working so far.
I think you mean the most brilliant idea we've had.
Look at that.
You know what? That's a cool hand.
Yeah.
Hand.
So I took the glove back off and I kind of fixed the lengths of the fingers and we rounded the tips a little bit, and that looks surprisingly like a normal hand. The next step is we have to fold it so that it looks like it's actually holding a knife. Which hand position do we want? Do we want it like this? Do we want it like this? Important decisions have to be made
I like
here.
option B.
So that means we want it like this. Not bad. Not bad at all. That worked.
I like it. It's great. Put it on. See how it goes.
Yeah.
It's a little heavy.
Every time. It's too heavy. That's our nemesis. I think that looks good.
Yeah.
Are we ready to see the final result?
I think we are. He's done.
Before we check out the final Ghostface, we just want to say thank you for watching. If you like this type of video, we got a ton more on the channel, so definitely check those out.
On every project we do, we always try to do something new or try a new technique or push our skills further, and usually it pays off.
Sometimes it's a little weird, but every single time it's worth doing because that's how you get better. And hopefully you've been inspired to try some of your own makeovers and make some cool stuff.
And until next time, stay wicked.
Hello, Sydney. Scary night, isn't it? Do you like scary movies, Sydney? I'm afraid that was a wrong answer. Now that we're all here, the party can begin.